Same problems. Where does this story end? That's what we're going to answer today with our guest, Kyle Lawson, and our special co-host, Adrian Monge.
Adrian Monge. It's not Monet. I'm not a professional painter.
Man, we're super pumped to have you here, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm excited. I get to hang out with you guys a lot, so this is comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun.
We were just on a call today talking about some stuff with your brother, who we're talking about, grew up with and dealing with all
you
this
guys
stuff.
caught me off guard with that one, because I'm that guy, like, I'm very much like, I don't like excuses type thing. And to me, my testimony or my history growing up, everything like that, to me, using or telling people that was almost like a crutch or an excuse, right? So for a long time, and you're ashamed of it, right? And so for a long time, I mean, half my friends even going through school thought I was like this totally normal person. I have, all the way through my work life and everyone's like, I just assumed you were this really polished, rich kid with really rich parents. I'm like, we'll roll with it. Let's run with it.
You know what's funny? My wife is the same thing, right? So my wife grew up like kind of not quite exactly the same situation, but kind of more poor. Sure. And she like, I don't know if like I'm speaking for putting words in her mouth, but like people thought that she was like this preppy rich kid. And I think it was probably she was compensating for, the way she was growing up, Yeah.
Yeah. I've been, there's something I posted like 5 years ago on Facebook, and it said your circumstances don't determine your future.
Yeah.
It's your actions that determine your future, something like that. And I was like, it's true. It's true, because there are people that hold on to those crutches.
Yeah.
You notice when you're on a crutch, you can't really go fast.
Well, like Tom always likes to say, you can either have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that saying.
Nobody brags about crutches either. Nobody brags about their past. No. Nobody says, oh yeah, I was broke.
But I think it's a cool story to tell and overcoming, And
it's something that I've had to learn to kind of embrace, especially like whenever I did, start turning my life over to God, and like, I started opening up, and I realized like, okay, it's other people can benefit from hearing those things too, because by no means should I be where I'm at today. And so the fact that I am, and I did defy certain odds, is a testimony. And I've had people, once I started being more open, and obviously I filmed a few videos for the church, and so whenever I started doing that, I've had people come up to me like, man, like that spoke to me. I needed to hear that.
That's
and so I was like, okay, I get it.
Right.
But by nature, I don't usually share much about that.
Yeah. So we're doing a lot of really cool new stuff. Kyle, you're a big part of that. Adrian, obviously, a big part of that. You've been on this show several times as co-host, and like really pumped about all the new stuff. We got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, our own channels for all this stuff. We're dropping some shows. Yeah. With Kyle, you want to talk about that for a second? Or?
Yeah. So I'm excited. So I've been trying. So for context, I'm in the real estate industry, and when I went into this industry, I made it a point to do business differently and to kind of be a little bit different. I try and stay a little innovative. I try and be a little bit more against the grain. And so anyways, it's kind of attracted attention. And I've been asked to be on several podcasts, and I've been part of them, and I've been asked to speak at various events or various things or boards, and I've done it. And I've always said, like, why not do my own podcast? And so it's something that's been at the back of my mind for a while. And so this is it. It's going to be called, I believe, In the Business with Kyle Lawson. And so it's the good, the bad, the ugly, the struggles, the breakthroughs, the breakups, what it took to kind of get where I'm at. And I'm nowhere near the finish line. But the idea is, how do you get into sales? How do you break through whenever the odds weren't meant for you to break through? How do you create something out of nothing? And so it'll be fun. And a lot of God, a lot of grace, a lot of.
But there's a second show spinning out of that too, right? Kingdom Business.
Well, so Kingdom Business and In the Business are kind of one and the same. I don't know if I'm going to stem off with a leg.
Awesome.
Don't worry. So I was gonna say, don't worry their patents, so don't even worry their mine. But
copyright.
Yeah, copyright. Yeah, that's what I meant. So anyways, so here's the reality. I've seen real life God move in my business, and I've seen things that just didn't make sense. I mean, down to like weird things. I'll give a quick story. So I'm hustler at heart, kind of door knocking in a neighborhood one day. And and I'm hitting this whole street of houses. And I mean, I didn't have any luck. And I leave, and so I go home, and the next morning, and so I left, and I didn't hit these 2 specific houses. I was like, I'm done. Didn't have any luck. I'm out. And so I jam home like, I was supposed to knock that door. I know I was. So I go home, and I'm on my way to work the next morning. Grab my coffee, and I was like, you freaking kidding me? I was supposed to knock that door. It was bothering me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go knock this door. And I knock, and they're like, we're actually interviewing an agent in a couple hours. Can you come back in a couple hours? And I was like, wow, I will be here. And
That's
so
great.
Things like that. And just God has given me favor. And so I do, it's going to be a lot of real talk, hustle, mindset, breakthroughs, sales and entrepreneurship, but it's also going to be a lot of just having God in business. And because that's essentially the backgrounds. Whenever I started in real estate, whenever I kind of, because I had a great job. I did not have to go into real estate. I felt called into real estate. And so a lot of you, we talked about Brad. A lot of people know Brad. He's
got a small church in Ventura.
Yeah.
Just a little baby
Yeah,
one.
we're teasing. Horrible views. The weather is absolutely a nightmare.
Love you, Brad. Just kidding.
Yeah,
it's an awesome church in
it's
Ventura.
amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It feels good there. So anyways, I made a decision. I said, God, I'm going to partner with you, and I want you to have influence over my business.
That's cool.
And so I've tried doing that to the best of my ability. And you know what? It's like the sanctification process. You kind of start out and you do one thing. You're like, but I'm supposed to do something different. And so then you switch up a little bit. And it doesn't mean you're perfect all along the way. I have failed and let God down.
It's almost like when you try, you get tested right away.
Yeah.
Like if you try to have a business with Christian morals and all that, you automatically are going to face some challenges.
And
tests.
real estate's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's cutthroat.
And so actually twice, I've built my real estate business from the ground up twice. I've had a couple of different, I had issues and circumstances, and God told me to leave this office that I was in, and I didn't listen. And so God yanked the rug out of this thing. It was like, no, you're moving. And I thought life was over. I'm like, crap, this is going to be tough. How do I restart from here? And not only did I restart, I like tripled production, and God was like, no, where I'm taking you, I'll provide. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's super cool. So that's just one of the new things that we're doing here on the show.
Yeah, so that's the show. That's the show.
No, that's exciting. We'll talk more about that maybe here in a minute. But we want to talk about the all the different things, and like we're changing things up. We're doing some new things. Like I said, we got the new social channels. Actually, Kyle's one of our sponsors for the Lunch Break Show.
Proud sponsor.
Thank you, Kyle.
Awesome.
Proud preferred real estate sponsor.
Yep.
We on our we're changing up how we're taking in questions too, and we have a question that we're going to talk about here in a second. But we're taking them on Facebook now. So Facebook.com/The Real Lunch Break Show, and you can message us. Tom and I both get that, and some of our other people as well. Follow us on Instagram is @The Real Lunch Break Show. Yeah. And the question that we have for this week came in from Tiffany and Kelsey's show. So do you have any close relationships that have survived over time? And if so, how? And we talked about that for a minute before, but I kind of want to go into that. Like, I'll launch into it and then let you guys talk and however you want. But I have actually quite a few, and I more than you guys, I think, grew up in the church to a degree from like junior high-ish age. Why is that funny?
I think it's funny because I was like born in the church.
Oh, well,
I was not.
Based on our conversation before, I'm making a few assumptions.
Man.
But
okay,
so sorry about that.
I had a praying grandma, but I was not. I was not about it.
I did.
The only thing that got me in church, I got arrested when I was like 16 or something, and Shane and Brad, they were like, yeah, you're. And so I was doing Bible study, and that was kind of really what set me in. Yeah. But that wasn't me.
So I didn't mean to put words in your mouth, Adrian.
Right,
but
Adrian's like, I've been a saint all my life, my whole life.
You said that your longest relationships were non-Christian, so I was like, oh, well, maybe. Sorry. Anyway,
it'll make sense here in a second.
All right, but so actually, I have quite a few. Like I've actually known Pastor Tom almost just as long as I've known my best friend. And Pastor Tom, we started off a little bit rocky, and we shared that from stage one time, but he almost kicked me out of school. But that's a story for another day. But my best friend, who we're still best friends, like brothers, like we're closer than family to this day, and it's being intentional. Like even he moved out of state, like all the way to the other side of the country. We maintained our relationships through, a lot of different things in his life and mine as well. And so you say how it's really just being intentional is, I think, the important part. The relationships that you value, the relationships you want to hold on to.
So I don't know if you read the question. The question is, do you have any close relationships that have survived over time? So how long is that?
So like 26 years, roughly.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah. I mean,
it's almost as long as I've been alive.
Wow.
All right, thanks for aging me there, bro.
30. I'll be 30 next month.
I'm a few years older.
Yeah, I think for me too. Like the reason I said, because I made a statement. I said most of my friends that I've had for a really long time are not Christians. And the reason is just because I was brought in the church, it was really hard to trust people in the church. So I had to step outside of that circle and find mentors and people that I could really lean into a little bit. And I ended up with a bunch of solid people, but they were not Christians. Hector is actually the longest friend that I've had that is a Christian.
Yeah, he's a solid dude too. I've known him a long time.
Yeah. 14 years, and he's been an awesome friend for me. He's been with me through tough times and good times. But the other people were just, I was involved in business all the time, so I ended up with business people as friends and mentors and people who cared for me and like really poured themselves into what I was doing already. So, but that's why it ended up being people who were not Christians, which I think 100% there's a purpose behind it. Like you can't have all Christian friends and think you're going to reach the world.
Oh yeah,
right,
for sure.
right. And that's something people struggle with. A lot of my friends, it's not that they're not believers, but they're not practicing. They're not in church. They're not opening the Word, and so that is a good chunk of my friends. And obviously, it's funny. I stay in their ear and I'll bug them sometimes and I'll razz them like, "Hey, church is open. If you want to come." And so I give, which you've met Ashton, he's in our Bible study. I give him the hardest time. He's got this crazy schedule that doesn't allow him to come. And so when he finally, and he would be there if he could. And so when he finally does make it, I'm like, oh, must be nice you made time for God today. And so he totally would be there if it wasn't. And so, I have a couple of long relationships. Like I said, Ashton, I think he was like 3rd or 4th grade. And heck, we're about 30 now. So that's been a long one. But he's always been a believer. And so he and I kind of went through this sanctification thing together as being kids, getting in trouble, toilet papering houses, having to apologize for, all that stuff. We had a lot of fun. But the way that you, I think, okay, so the question, there's also how. I think that if you have to put an effort to have friendships, the friendships that I have that really did not last are the ones where 2 people didn't make an effort to stay in communication or stay in relationship.
Yeah, intentional. I think like really in everything, and I think both of you guys are very much that way, intentional in most things in life. I've seen you both do it with your kids, with your business, with your marriage, and like maintaining any relationship. I think intentionality is super
sometimes
important.
you get those friends that are seasonal. Like it's a seasonal God puts you in their lives.
And I think that's okay sometimes,
I think that's okay, but I do think like there are people that God puts in your life that are meant forever.
Yeah.
Like
your spouse?
Yeah, your spouse better be your friend, like big time. Right? But like if you're on the same battlefield or playground with them, or you're like all my cycling friends, we'll be friends for a long time because of that, because we rode bikes together. People at the
common
church.
Interest.
Yeah, common interests, like real estate friends. You'll have those for a long time. So I think that if you're on the same battlefield, you'll hold close for a longer time.
Yeah, and I think that's also what forges those relationships is going through being in the trenches together with we all do ministry together. And I think that's formed bonds between the 3 of us, pretty strong too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to the next segment of our show, Lucky's Animal Rescue. We've been supporting them for a long time. Meredith is doing a great job out there. And we're going to be doing a special from there at some point in the near future, highlighting their ranch, J&H Ranch. And
I got married there.
Did you?
Yep.
That's super cool. I haven't had the opportunity to go there, but I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, and they're sweet people. You could tell they're passionate about what they do.
Yeah, no, they're super, and they love the animals. They have a and Tom covers this better than I do, but closed colony. So they're very protective of making sure there no diseases and parvo and all that stuff get in there.
Oh yeah, it's a fancy rescue.
Oh yeah,
it's right by the river. They have
those dogs are under a tree.
They have their own pond.
They're floating on the raft out there by them.
No, like there's a river, and then they have their own pond.
Oh yeah,
like literally, they have their own pond.
Cool.
So who do we have today as our animal? It's Stormy. Okay, cool. And I can't read the little thing
Stormy
here, but
just looks cute as can be.
Right? I love that dog. Yeah.
Stormy is a lively little girl. And I lost it.
Anyway, go to the website, luckysanimalrescue.com, and you can learn more about Stormy. You go to the adopt page, and you can learn about all the animals available. So go check that out. And so encourage you to do that. I think they're doing some really cool things out there.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Adrian?
All right. Are you ready? Here comes the big question, Kyle. Is there anything like new? And this is the question everybody gets asked, and some people have something interesting, like they can wiggle their ears or they're colorblind.
Oh, I can do something weird with my ear. Okay. We won't do it, but yeah.
But
I want to see now.
Is there anything most people don't know about you that you could share on the show?
Yeah.
Your deepest, darkest secret.
I like that you said that you can share on the show. Because I'm telling you, I am a man of many, many secrets. I'm kind of a little bit of a recluse. So I had a little bit of time to think about it because I was in that chair not long ago. And so I knew the question's coming, what's something people don't know. And so most people are really blindsided whenever I tell them, like, I barely, and I mean barely graduated high school. I had to plead and beg, and I had like a 57%. And if I didn't pass this certain class, like it was done. I was bare minimum of everything academically. Because not that I wasn't good at it, I just hated school.
No, I know you. It's not from lack of intelligence.
It just is not how I learned.
That's why we get along.
Yeah, right.
I had the same thing.
The school loved me so much they expelled me once. So
I came close.
Yeah, they kicked me out. It was forceful independent study. They said, hey, you know that independent study program where people voluntarily, take time off? And I was like, yeah, I've heard of that. And they're like, you're going on it. I was like, okay.
They said it was voluntary.
Yeah. No, they made me do that. But anyways, I did not do well in school, but I think also a lot of that was my fault. Like I didn't check out a single textbook in my high school. I've never read a book from start to finish. I've read parts of like the first couple pages or,
but do you listen to audiobooks or?
Okay. I've listened to maybe 3 full audiobooks. In my life.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll get halfway through.
Man,
and then I check out.
Impressive.
Huh.
You haven't?
No, like when I say legit, I don't read much. I research situations, right? Like, so I'm a situation reader. My wife used to get on to me. She still does, because like I'll zone in. And you know what? Tom Hollenbeck's noticed it. He goes, man, you're like aware of the entire room. And so I'm like a situation and people reader. And so like I study things. They're just it's not written word. So
that's cool.
That's good. Situational awareness.
But they say leaders are readers, but not always.
Yeah, not in this case. So
I know you're a leader. So
well, so what's funny is like that too aligns with like people just assume like, oh, you must have been like, good in school. I was like the emo kid, black hair. I was going to Brad and Shane's like concerts.
Okay.
And so I had like half bleach in my hair, red back here. It was down to here. I skated and listened to death metal music.
Oh wow.
And so
I never knew this, Kyle.
Oh yeah. It was a good couple years.
Yeah,
of
I think
high school.
that's a big share.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows
cool.
that.
Super cool.
There's points where my hair was like down to here. Shanna, Brad's wife, gave me like an A-line one time where it's like spiky in the back, long in the front.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
That was fun.
So we want to get into your life a little bit.
Yeah. Let's dig in.
And you started a little bit rough, a little bit rocky. You want to like share with us a little bit about that? And
yeah, I didn't. Okay, so it's interesting. I didn't know that like I had an abnormal, I knew obviously life wasn't great. I joke around I tease my mom about it now, but when I was little, one of the things I used to do, it'd be like really late at night. One of the things I used to do for entertainment is I would take like a handful of sand. I don't even know where we lived, but it wasn't a great place. And I would dump it on top of my head, and then I'd pick the sand out. And like, so that was entertainment.
Oh, wow.
And so anyways, it was fun though. But like, I didn't know that these things were like,
when you're in like, when you live in the ghetto, most kids who live in the ghetto don't really like go like, I live in the ghetto.
Yeah.
They're like,
You just think it's normal, right?
Yeah, like my kids had like prostitutes and pimps walking down the street, and like they had to know what that was at a very young age, but they didn't really know the difference of where they were living. They thought everybody has that.
Yeah,
you know?
they just assumed. Yeah. It's so very similar to that. It wasn't until like I started getting older and I started realizing like, oh crap, like I don't want my friends to see the car we drive. Oh, I don't want my friends to see the house we live in. So fortunately, we had a grandma that lived in the district of the school we wanted to go to. So that was nice. But then like if it ever came time to them finding out like my real home, I was like, oh crap, I don't want them to know this. So that's when I kind of, and then you start to figure it out. But again, like I always just brushed it off. I always, and I also took a little pride in like being like the dirt kid, like, like the kind of whatever weird kid a little bit. So yeah, but I mean, look, I was forced to work early, and I honestly look at it like a blessing because I would say, I can't even tell you how many people I went to school with that I used to be so jealous of. I wish I had that truck. I wish I had their parents. I wish I had their clothes. I wish that all of those people now look up to me. And they're like, and so it's weird. It's almost like I think people that start out with a disadvantage.
Yep. 100%.
And I was forced to figure it out. I took jobs early. I started working for Shane in the mall at No Fear at 15 and a half. He signed off on a waiver for me.
That's funny.
Yeah, at 15 and a half, man, that was, oh gosh. And this was like before they were super Christian, so it was fun.
Yeah. But I mean,
they were in it, but it was like, they were like still a blast. So
yeah. I mean, you're that's 100. I mean, I was talking to Tom about that recently, just like the adverse, and we specifically were talking about you and your brother and the success you both have seen.
Yeah, all of us. My whole family.
But it's because of adversity early, learning to overcome that.
So our middle brother owns an electrical company, wildly successful. Brad has his church, wildly successful. Man, those guys are doing. My sister, she's moved states, but she's always been an entrepreneur, has done something. And so each one of us were forced to figure it out. And that's what you do. You rise to the occasion and you figure it out. And so I kind of see it as a blessing. A lot of people would see that as a negative.
And it is like a powerful message. Like if you're out there, you're in a struggle, it's kind of like that. In the middle of the struggle, you should know that there's huge benefits that you're going to get from that struggle. Yeah. Whether it's your kids. I know when I had my kids in those bad neighborhoods, I would feel guilty. Like, man, my kids are in this neighborhood. But then that happened where I started to realize like there are huge benefits to the struggle. Like they're going to grow up different, but they're going to grow up stronger.
How have you applied that to raising your own kids?
So this is what's tough. I'm hard. Like I'm like drill sergeant dad. I'm helicopter dad. If you've been around us, like, in fact, there's things I regret. Like I forced my kids to grow up really early. But like, man, they're so good and talented and intelligent. They're like years above their years. And you see it when they're around other kids, like just the way that, my oldest behaves. She's like already Miss Mom. And she just turned 7. And so I educate her and I teach her all the things that I wished I would have learned early. And I make it a little tough where she knows. Like I remind her, I say, if you want a stinking car, you better start saving because I will only match what you save. If it's $100, guess what, girl? Looks like we're buying a toy model car.
And you know what's actually that reminds me of something else that I saw about you. And I know we're going a little bit out of order here, but I know there was a picture. There was a picture in here of you, the Ramsey trusted, right?
Yeah.
And what you said reminds me of something that you might have learned from Dave Ramsey of like, hey, I'll match what you save, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So Dave Ramsey, I got...
It's in his book.
Yeah. I got hooked onto that pretty early. Another thing that might surprise you, I've always been drawn to business. Yeah, I hated school, I hated all that, but I've always been drawn to business and finance. It's almost like something I could never let go of. And so that's why I obviously went the route that I did ultimately. I had great jobs. I mean, I conned my way into being a safety manager at age 24. Like who?
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a
cool.
wild story. That's an interesting one we could dive into or not. But I've had great jobs. I've always, rose very quickly at whatever position I was in. And anyways, so I always knew I wanted to do this sales entrepreneur thing. So I did. But anyways, the Ramsey thing, I am Ramsey trusted. It means that we've not only are endorsed
or what?
Well, no, we're not only endorsed by Dave Ramsey, but you get a Ramsey badge if you've been verified, like tried and true. Like someone's used you as a endorsed local provider, but then they also said, okay, and you're good.
Yeah, this is
cool.
It's a special thing. It's not just like anybody can get it. They don't hand it out like candy.
So I teach my daughter all about that stuff. I make them save. They've got their savings accounts, and so I make them, count money. And my daughter, she's a hustler, dude. She'll put together my business cards, and she'll get handwritten cards, and she'll write like real estate stuff on it, and she'll ask if she could go hand it to the neighbors. This is yesterday.
Yeah.
I was like, Hunter, you're not going to solicit our neighbors. Leave
awesome.
them alone.
That's so cool.
But like part of her dies when I do it because she wants to go, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna make us look so stinking weird.
But you know what? Like business, like your daughter, what you're teaching her. I mean, people take for granted, but business people are usually really good with people. Like, if you want to be successful at business, you have to know people. You have to be able to communicate. People have to like you.
Well, they say, a lot of, if you are in the business, in order to get what you want, you have to get other people what they want. And in order to get them what they want, you have to know what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kyle's really good at bringing people together. Like random people that, he was telling me about when he was a teenager, he had that gift to pull people together, like.
My grandma would trip out.
But it's a gift. Like in business, you have to have that gift of pulling people together because ultimately business is accomplishing something with something else, with someone else, you're pulling them in. So that's good. That's solid.
So let's run through some of the pictures we have here.
Let's go through them.
And I wanted to ask you.
Keep on diverting.
No, it's all good. I think this is a great conversation, man. So I see the first picture. It looks like it's you and Kayla. Is that's your wife, Kayla?
Yep, we're cabin shopping in that picture. We love shavers, so we're out there trying to find a vacation home. A home away from home.
I knew you were doing. Have you found it yet?
We've wrote a couple offers. We haven't had anything accepted. Apparently, we need a better agent.
Yeah. Well, I know you're going to be my agent. So I'm excited about that.
I love that.
But so tell me, how did you meet Kayla? Actually.
Oh man,
give me the short version.
All right, I'll give it short, but just know that we're not going to get through a lot of.
Get some brownie points, man.
So
Now's your moment.
I had a girlfriend, and it wasn't Kayla. And so Kayla comes to one of our parties. In this house we lived in, we were squatting in it. Seriously, we plumbed in water from the neighbor's
the real
house.
Deal, okay.
This is like the 500 block of Washington. Seriously, real story. And we had more beer cases stacked up in the. This was a ultimate party house. No running water. We had electricity, and so to shower we had a 5-gallon bucket. And we'd use that. But again, I could have stayed. I stayed part-time at grandma's. But anyways, Kayla comes to one of our parties, and I had a different girlfriend at the time. I was like, so I told my friends, I said, hey, that girl's really quiet. Someone needs to go wife her up. That means she's a good girl because she's so quiet. And none of my friends did. I'm like, y'all are crazy. Someone needs to go talk to her because she's quiet. Quiet girls are like good girls. And so she sat in the corner the entire party, didn't say a word. And so my relationship I was in was on the rocks. And so anyways, I think a week or two passes. She comes back again to the party. I don't know why anyone would come back to this house. She's
seen you. That's what was up.
She comes back, and I was like, all right. And so I think my relationship had just ended. And I said, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm like, why are you so quiet? I got to get to know you. So I get to know her, and I thought I really screwed it up. I had just met her, and I was getting ready to go outside the backyard, different side of the party. And I told her, I was like, hey, I'm going to go outside. And she's like, okay. I was like, all right, I love you. And I was like, oh, accidentally I told her I loved her. And I was like, this is never going to work. And oh, man. So that's how we met. And I had no job, I had a job. I had no license. I had recently got a DUI. She would I had nothing when I met this girl, and she would pick me up and take me to my DUI classes. She saw something in me, and I don't know what it was. I still don't. She probably doesn't. And and so it started there, and she has stuck by my side, and without ever asking me, not even once, she's made me do better. Legit. Oh, yeah. And because I was not this Kyle even 3 years ago,
right?
Let alone 10 years ago.
I know this is a little bit off script here, but I think is naturally leads here. Like, how did you end up coming to the Lord?
So, well, like I said, so I got arrested for assault and battery whenever I was young. Got in a little bit of a chase from the law.
From the Lord?
From the law. The law was the chasing me. And I was looking at some jail time. And you know what? Brad was praying for me. Shane was praying for me. And I was like, man, I can't keep doing this. And I got, so I had started going to Bible study. I kind of let loose. But I was real, like, you know, I'd always felt drawn. I just always fought it, right? So anyways, that happened, and that got me close, and I started doing Bible study with Pastor Josh, and I think, there was a few other guys that were in there. But anyways, that's where it started, and then of course I slipped back, but then I get my DUI, and then I kind of, you know, went back to God, and then I kind of slipped back again, the same old song and dance, right? And then it was whenever my daughter started getting a little bit older, and I was like, you know what, like, this is not the life I'm going to give my family, and this is not the life that I want. So I kind of let loose. I let go of the reins, and I just said, Lord, help me lead this family, because I can't do it, and help me be a better son to you.
It was like your breaking point.
Yeah, and I had a few of them, and yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's cool. So there's a picture here. It's the fourth picture down, guys. At the beach or something. What is this picture?
So we are baptizing my daughter.
That's what I thought. That's why I wanted to pull that out.
We're baptizing my oldest daughter. My wife got baptized. I got baptized for the second time. And my daughter, she is just, both of them are just seriously incredible. But my oldest, she's a little bit older, so by nature, we are able to see her advanced further. And so she is filled with the Holy Spirit. The Lord has been involved in her life. I've prayed over her, and like God has answered those prayers. It's actually really cool. I have a couple stories that would just like, I mean, give you chills.
I know we're getting close to the end of time, but you've got like one other thing that I think is kind of key. So even though you had all this miraculous things, life-changing breaking points, and then came this point where you had been going to church, you wanted to hear from God. And there was one guy who's in this room.
Oh, yeah. This is an important story. Yeah, I know where you're going. Do you want to finish?
Well, I think it's important because I know a lot of people come to church and they've had that story where God rescued them. They had the breakthroughs. They had all that. And then for some reason, they get to this point where they're just like in a struggle, in a battle. Yeah. And you throw like a Hail Mary pass to the Lord.
Yeah. So life was good. Actually, I was in a good place, good father. I had my head on straight. I was doing really well. We had a successful real estate business. It was only a couple of years ago. And I don't know, I was going through like some spiritual warfare. I was wrestling with God one night. And I needed some answers. I needed clarity. I needed to hear God's voice. I mean, I was struggling. It was one of those nights where you close your eyes and you start even questioning if God's real. You're like, I can't feel you. I don't see you. Close your eyes and all you feel is like you're alone. I said, Lord, I need you to show up. You have to show up. I need direction. I was getting ready to switch churches. I've never been to another church outside of Valley. And I was like, I'm switching churches. I don't care what I got to do. Something's giving. Something's got to give. I need to hear your voice. Said, I don't remember it because a couple years ago, I either said I was going to walk away from it all or I was going to leave, find a new church. I needed some direction. Said, Lord, in the morning, I need to hear something from you loud and clear, crystal clear, or I'm switching gears. And I don't even know why I would think that way. Maybe it's because I was just half awake, half asleep, fighting this thing at night. And sure enough, I just remember crystal clear, I have to have an answer in the morning. If I don't have an answer in the morning, I'm doing things my way. And sure enough, 7:30, I get a text message from Pastor Tom. And he says to Mr. Tom Touchstone, and he says, hey, Kyle, God put you on my heart, and I think you need to, I want to invite you to disciple under me. Like, do you have any idea the timing? If that would have been any other day, it wouldn't have made sense.
Right.
I was getting ready to make a huge decision, and God said, no. Not only are you going to trust me more, not only are you going to stay where you're at, you're going to go deeper by partnering up and doing life with Pastor Tom. And I told Pastor Tom, I said, what does this mean? And he goes, well, doesn't really mean any. Well, I don't think there's an answer. He goes, we'll see. You know, it'll sort out, and it has.
That's awesome.
It has. It's been a cool journey, and I'm so fortunate. And it was my answer. The Lord said sit, and
that's
so
super
I sat.
cool. And a little teaser before we wrap up here, but I know, and we'll just leave it as a teaser. But we're working on something about that discipleship process with your brother and Tom, watch for some stuff coming up in the future, guys.
Yeah,
it'll be really cool.
That's going to be a good show, and I've seen it. I've been in it, in the position of the people. So
yeah. So is there anything you want to leave the viewers and listeners with before we close out?
No, not anything miraculous. I mean, look, it's we've shed light. It's so hard when someone thinks they know you. They know what you've told them in that moment, right? And so people that haven't seen me in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, there's no reason I should even be sitting at this table, right? And so what I would say is something that Adrian told me is Adrian said this pertaining to God, but I say to people, give people the benefit of doubt. I would say that's huge. Like, there's people that I thought I knew and I've heard things about and I've said, I'm like, no, I know what I don't like that guy. And it's like, no, I actually do. I just didn't give you a chance. Yeah. And so I don't know if would be my takeaways. Give people, not necessarily me, I'm meaning people in general, give them benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's good.
That's cool.
That's
so,
good,
man, thank you guys all. This has been a really cool conversation. Yeah. I want to say a special thank you to Nathaniel for being our producer today.
MVP. The Magic Man. And you've heard of Magic Mike. He's the Magic Man.
all of Adrian's children for being here helping us as well.
We've had. And what a testament to Adrian as a father,
right?
too.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's cool.
That's awesome.
And thank you, Pastor Tom, for giving us the opportunity to do this. This has been really a lot of fun. Tessa and Taylor Touchstone for being our creative consultants. And if you guys are watching, follow us on Facebook. Go subscribe on YouTube. Click on that bell and get notified every time we drop a new episode or a new short or special. And we will see you next time. Have a great one. Bye.
See ya.